name is Frank Anthony, and welcome back to Let Me Be Frank. So, this is episode 2 already. It's going to fly by really quick, this whole season 2 thing, and we got the whole visual thing going on. And we also have our first special guest of season 2, who is also the first special guest of season 1. I would like to welcome back Emmy Morgan. Hello, Emmy.
Hi.
How's it going?
Perfect. How are you?
Good, hanging in there, Corona.
I know. Oh my gosh. I,
So yeah, before we get into so this first little segment that I want to catch up with the new things that you've been up to, but I realized, or I think in season 1 we didn't really talk about more in depth on things you've already accomplished. Like we might have glossed over it because we were really focused on the topic at hand, but I
Mhm.
don't think we really got to tell the viewers what you've done. So I just wanted to ask more if you wanted to talk about the 2 books that you've published so far.
Sure. So the first book is called The Ice Princess, and it's a double entendre title. It's about no, it's an ironic title, I should say. It's about a trans woman who goes from being a retail worker to becoming an actress. And the reason why it's called The Ice Princess is because she tries not to put her heart on her sleeve, but that's exactly what happens. She gets into 3 major relationships that kind of tether her into different areas, and each relationship is completely different from the next, and she's not sure, and the audience isn't sure exactly who she's going to end up with. Um, I wanted to tell a story about a trans woman that was romantic, not so dark. There are dark moments in the first book. I'm not going to lie to you. There's one moment that's really, really dark, and it kind of shapes the rest of her being in the rest of the series. The second book is called The Family Portraits, and that book is about her past and how a lot of my friends and family, although they accept me, they didn't understand. So a lot of those questions are answered in The Family Portraits. I basically put myself in this character. It's who I want to be, who I never want to be, who I am, and a lot of fiction, all rolled into one character. So I got a lot of cathartic stuff out. And then, of course, I came out at the same time. So it was pretty awesome to kind of live through this character and then say, maybe I should start telling my own truth instead of writing about someone else's. So that's what happened. Although
So
I'm
you
not in some grand relationship right now. Still waiting for, Josh Murray to ask me on a date, but whatever.
Same girl. I'm waiting for Oscar the Grouch at this point to
Oh
ask me out.
my, I
No, I'm kidding. My standards are not that low.
how that date is gonna work.
I don't know. We both love trash. No.
Oh,
Just kidding. So you said you were coming out at the same time. Is that when you were writing the first book?
the first book came out 2000. So it basically took me 20 years to write the first book. It came out in 2011,
Okay.
and a lot of traumatic things happened that year. One thing that was super traumatic was my little brother, he's like a little brother. He passed away February 2011. And that kind of shocked me into saying, all right, you've been writing this book for 20 freaking years. Do something. So then, August 7th, 2011, I decided to just self publish. And then in 2013, I wanted to write a sequel. And it took me 4 days to write the sequel. and the family portrait is born. And what I did was, when I got a little bit of money and a good job, I decided to get them professionally copy edited and custom covers. And they judged my books so much that they are, I'm obsessed with both of my books. I'm still working on the third. It's hard to let this character go because she's been a part of me for going on 30 years. But I am writing the third book. I will say that it's going to be inspired by Me Too movement. The first book does deal a little bit with Black Lives Matter. It's I still can't believe I like worked it in there after I've read it, but yeah, there's a little bit of it. I try to hit every major topic so that when you're reading this book, you're like, this person is real, and she's not. But it's a lot of my life. It's semi-autobiographical. It's a lot of my life, but it isn't. So, yeah.
I get that.
You write what you
No, I
know.
feel exactly. Yeah, I feel like I heard an author say, and I think I try to do it with my own books. They always say with usually most, if not all of your characters, you always want to put even like the smallest piece of you in all of them. Even like my bad characters, that's when I put a bad trait in there. The main character usually, yeah, is most like you in a lot of ways. Um, so the third book you're working on, is that the last one of the series, or are there going to be more? Because you said you were having trouble letting go of her.
So I was going to do a spin-off. I was going to do a book from his point of view, but
Okay.
people are already doing that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate his, meaning the guy she ends up with. I'm going to incorporate his point of view into the third book. I'm envisioning it to have 3 sections. One section's called me, one section's called he, and one section's called we. The me version is Desiree. The he version is the guy she chooses, and the we version is them speaking like a third person type of story where you see both of their points of view. But I want the story to move throughout the whole book, but you just see the different points of view. I think it's important to show at the end of the day, this man is cisgender, hetero, and I want people to understand why he chose to be with this person, why he chose to fall in love with her and marry her and start a family with her. And so that's why I wanted to sort of do something in his point of view. That is
Okay.
definitely going to be out of my realm because I'm not a heterosexual cisgender male, but I can only write for the character. So
Yeah. All right. Where can I actually didn't know either that I knew you published through a company, but I didn't realize you self-published first and
yeah,
then
yeah.
published through a company. Where can people purchase your books?
You can purchase them on Amazon, Kindle, the Nook, BarnesandNoble.com, iBook, Google Play, um, pretty much anywhere you can get an ebook. I'm working on getting it in stores. It's not as easy as one thinks, but
Yeah,
that was
no.
pre-COVID. That was my goal. Now it's just like, I'm probably better off doing ebooks. But pre-COVID, that was my thing. So,
Yeah, hopefully this will die down soon. No promises though.
and on Amazon, it's been rated 6 times, all 5 stars. And it's not
Oh,
like
that's
people
awesome.
know. I don't know any of these people. I don't know any of them personally.
Nice.
But I was
I know
reaching.
I'd be getting all my friends. I'd be like, you better rate this book. You better.
It's kind of tough because I have friends that I would love them to promote my books, but what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna force somebody to help or try to promote. It comes off false when they do that. So I'm just gonna put it out there in the universe. I 100% believe in what you put out there comes back to you. So I'm
Of
gonna just put
course.
it out there. I put my books out there. Of course, I need somebody to market it. So I do have to work on getting a marketer. But if my friends want to promote it, they will. If they don't, they don't. I'm not going to be cross with them. So,
I get that. I have read the first book so far. I still have to get the second one.
yeah. And it's so funny because when I was writing it, it had a totally different ending, and my friend was like, "Absolutely not. No, you need." And I'm like, "Is this like a misery type of deal? Are you gonna like Hobbit me, like make me rewrite it?" But I took his suggestion and I rewrote it. I still feel like it should have ended the way I originally wrote it, but whatever. Yeah.
Well, I know at the end of the day, I mean, it's your choice too. It's your book. I also know that it's good to get other sets of eyes on it because so with the one I'm working on now, if I ever get it out, I'm going to try. I'm trying to at least write one chapter a week minimum. And I have a friend who's been acting as an editor, and she's been correcting certain things where I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I did fuck up there. Like, thank God you read this. So I think, yeah, it is good to get other perceptions because, yeah, there's been certain ideas they didn't agree with every single one of mine, and I definitely at least took their ideas into consideration to see if I was going to change it or not.
And not only that, but they gave me an explanation why they wanted it different.
Okay.
I was like, oh yeah, I guess. I'm like, but what about this guy? They're like, no, he's a jerk. And I'm like, oh, come on. So at the end of the day, I went with their suggestion because it made the most sense, you know?
Yeah.
So what could have
Well, well, yeah, let's talk about your new stuff that you're working on. What's been going on?
I am the pandemic has been amazing for your girl.
Oh, good.
The consulting producer on 3 movies. Thank you very much. Uh,
Wow.
the first movie is called Kitty. It's more than likely going to be filmed next year, and probably premiere the end of the year. So it's about, and I know this sounds crazy, but just bear with me. A gay kid gets kicked out of his home, and he's Mormon. Um, he's 17, gets kicked out of his home, goes to the streets of Atlanta. He bumps into this black trans girl who's 18, 19, who's been living on the streets and working as a sex worker. They become friends, and they think the only way to get off the streets is to make a bet with each other to see who gets HIV first. And whoever gets HIV first is like the winner. Because when you get HIV, in their minds, you get state housing, you get meals, you get new clothing, you get everything. Your life is set. And so I was actually telling somebody about this, and he lives in New York. Craziest thing. He's like, I was a social worker for many years. This is something kids actually think. They actually believe
Wow.
HIV or some type of disease that they will get state housing and their lives will be all set. So when I told my friend Brandon, who wrote it, he was like, I know, girl. This is something and it's called Kitty because Kitty is the name, the euphemism for HIV. So it's like, did
Okay.
you, yeah. So he pulled me into it. I've been friends with Brandon for going on 20 years next year. We randomly met before I transitioned, we randomly met on a gay website, and I was like, oh my God, he's so cute. And we met in person. He's like, girl, we're going to be best friends. And we are. And I'm not saying like we're best friends, like how people say that randomly. We literally have this pact where we spend at least, if it's 5 minutes, if it's a week, whatever, we see each other once a year physically since 2001.
Wow.
And 1 year we saw each other for about 3 hours. But that was our thing. That's our thing. We always do it. So when I came out as trans, I had mentioned it to him before, but not really. And then when I came out in 2015 to him, he's like, girl, I've been waiting for this conversation for years. And it was just like, oh, really? And he's like, honey, I knew you were trans a long time ago. He had a friend who was trans. Her name, her trans name was Letha Weapons. Apparently, but she got into a car accident and she passed away.
Oh
So
no, I'm sorry.
character is a bit of me, a bit of Letha, and a bit of fiction rolled into one. A lot
Okay.
of this trans character is me though. Her nickname is Baby Girl because she's obsessed with Aaliyah. He knows how much I love Aaliyah. She calls this kid that she meets, AJ, Superman. He knows I have the hugest crush on Henry Cavill, who plays Superman. And just other things about Baby Girl and her mom's relationship is so me. And I'm just like, I can't believe you did that. When I first read it, I cried. I read the script and I cried because I felt like, you know, when you tell your friends a story and you're just like, oh, they're listening, oh, they're paying attention. But this guy, like, absorbed everything that I have told him in 20 years, wrote this script, and I'm just like, wow. So yeah, it was amazing that he pulled me into that. Um, and then on the reverse, he had a different ending on this movie, and I'm like, no. So yeah, it was. I'll tell you off air, but
Okay.
I wasn't happy with the ending, and he took my advice. And so he pulled me in as a story consultant at first. And now I am listed as a consulting producer. I'm going to be on set advising and stuff. So I'm excited about that. Then the two other projects. Um,
Wait, before you get into those,
yeah, go ahead.
my comments with that. That is like so awesome, all that and the relationship that you and Brandon have. You sent the like little excerpt of what it
Mm-hmm.
was about to me, and I remember when I read it, I was like, wow, like this sounds like a really bad idea.
Right?
Like that, because it sounded crazy, but now that you explained, I love stories that can be realistic. And
Mm-hmm.
now that I know that that is like a common thing or a realistic thought, that maybe not what we believed through
Right.
life, but that people actually do believe, that is crazy. I never knew that.
Me either. So when I first started talking about my book, I was a little shy about talking about it. And I will be 100% honest with you. One of my bosses asked me what I like to do in my spare time, and I told him I like to write. And he goes, what have you written? And I said, well, I wrote a book. And he's like, well, what book? I'm like, I wrote this book about this trans woman. He literally asked me, are you trans? And I'm like, no, because I wasn't at the time. And looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe he asked me that. But I was just so shy because 2012, 2013, being trans wasn't something that was open. And I was so shy about it. And so coming all the way back to this movie, when people are like, oh, so tell me about the movies that you're a part of. I'm like, there's this movie called Kitty. And I was like reluctant to talk about it. And then when I was talking to my friend who was, he's actually somebody that I interviewed for my podcast. He was like, oh my God, that movie is so, like, it's so realistic. And I'm like, it is. And he's like, yeah. And so he told me about his experience. And I'm like, oh, okay, so it is. But yeah.
We do have to take a commercial break
Well,
soon, but I do want to hear if you want to just tell us quickly the other things you were working on.
they're still in development. One's a gay horror film, and the other one is a romantic comedy about a non-binary person falling in love with a cisgender person. So, like, three completely different projects. Um, yeah, they're still in development, so we'll see.
Well,
But
that's still
I will say this, and I can't believe this happened. So the romantic comedy with the non-binary person,
yeah.
I gave 45 notes, 45 notes to the scriptwriter. They used 44. So I was
Wow.
like, wow. So I'm really excited about that. But
That
yeah.
that is impressive. I think I when you said yeah, starring a non-binary person, I think that's really important to have. There's not enough
Nope.
representation.
Nope. So I actually had to reach out to one of my non-binary friends to ask them um, a couple of things. I kind of knew something, but this person, the screenwriter, is cisgender gay, and he was just like, I know nothing, help. So yeah, I reached out to my non-binary friend, and they helped me. It's tough. You have to do the right pronouns with non-binary people. You have to
Yeah.
say it or them. I will say I don't understand the ZE, but I'll use it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I haven't had to use that yet. But I think a couple of people online I've seen
Mhm.
they use that pronoun.
Okay. Hey, I'm not.
But but yeah, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, so we'll be right back. And we are back. So the first topic that we're going to work on about. See, this is what happens when there's no script. I need you to write a script for me.
I haven't done that.
Um, I actually, fun fact before we get into the topic, I took script writing at my first college that I attended, and it was my absolute favorite class ever, and the professor was awesome and stuff. Like script writing was so much fun.
Mm-hmm. It
But
really sends you a link. There's this guy. His name is Hal. I can't remember his last name. He's been doing free script writing classes every Friday, and all you do is
oh,
call in, and he sends you a link on as a handout. I've been doing it since June. So yeah,
okay.
script writing's amazing. I love it. Love it.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah, definitely send me that.
Okay.
Awesome. I'm excited. Even though I'm working on a book too. I do too much.
Well,
We all do.
supposed to have multiple things going on, especially
Ex exactly. But yeah, so I'm really excited about the topics for this. I mean, I'm excited about all the topics that get discussed on the podcast, but this one, so on Netflix, this one really stood out to me. There's a show called, it's weird because I've watched other shows that do this, but I didn't really think about it until this show, and I'm going to get into why that happened. So if you guys watch Netflix or have Netflix, there's a show called Elite, and Elite is, I want to say it was a Spanish show,
Okay.
because you can tell it is in like it's dubbed on Netflix, but you can tell that they're speaking another language,
Right.
kind of like it doesn't exactly overlay perfectly. So I'm like, oh, I think they're actually speaking Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they play high school students, and it's pretty much like a new kind of murder each season, It's similar. Actually, that kind of reminds me How to Get Away with Murder. It's a little
Okay.
similar, that layout, except they're younger. They're not college students, they're high school students. Well, the issue with, not really that there's an issue with the show, but the issue that I noticed is that these people are
Mhm.
extremely attractive. Like they're I don't want to like spoil too much, I won't get too specific, but there's a polygamous relationship that occurs. There's like a bunch of other relationships, yes, and it's very, I mean, it's very hot. I'm a little ashamed to say it, but it's I'm like, the show is kind of like, it's getting me going. It's really
Oh,
awakening. The cobwebs are fleeing.
thanks, got movement downstairs over the show. Okay, okay.
Apparently, I don't know. I've I've been reborn. It gives me hope. No, but what I noticed though, as I like to look up actors, especially the actors that I kind of find attractive, like
Yeah,
to see a little bit quickly.
yeah,
And I noticed that these actors, some of them are in their early 30s, and
right.
some are like, the range I want to say is like mid 20s to early 30s. Because
Mm-hmm.
I know specifically one girl's like 31 or 32, and
Yeah.
they're playing the issue is that they're playing these like 16, 17-year-old students.
Mm-hmm.
And as me as an adult, us as adults, being attracted, it just looks wrong because it's like we're almost being attracted to high school students, even
Mm-hmm.
though they are adults. So it's like, well, okay, I'm attracted to the actor who's an adult, but then like, is it wrong to be attracted to a character because they're portraying a minor? And obviously that's not good.
Right. The thing about it is, if they were, these characters were acted by someone younger, then it would be almost like child porn. If they were like under like their actual age, 16, 17, that would be basically child porn. If they were 18, 19, you wouldn't have the experience. Like these people in their 20s and
See?
30s, they know certain things already. They know certain positions already. They've experienced certain things already. Hiring someone any younger than that, it wouldn't be authentic to them. They wouldn't have heard these stories. It would be like um, they would really be delving deep into the situation, not the acting portion. So I think that's why they hired him a little older and
Yeah.
hired younger, like 16, 17. They're labor laws. They can't work certain hours and they also can't do certain things. 18, 19, still that cusp. It feels like you're still sexualizing a kid. So that's
Yeah.
probably do the 20s and 30s. The 90210 did it, and it worked out great for people. Plus, when you get someone in their 20s and 30s, they're hungry for work, and they're getting
Yeah.
students that actually, if they start off sophomore year, well, if that show goes 4 years, now they're freshmen in college. These people have steady paychecks for 4 years. So that's more of
Yeah.
why they do it. I mean, I can only imagine. Um, but I honestly would not want to see some skinny 17-year-old playing like Harry Styles. I don't want to see him doing a role like that. Not that he's 17 or anything, but ill. Like I want to see a man doing it, you know?
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, I mean, we definitely crave sexy people on TV. I just found it
No,
weird,
I
because
no, yeah, but
other shows like you said, 90210, Pretty Little Liars,
yep.
Glee, there's a bunch. Jason Earls, who played Miley's brother on Hannah Montana, he was like 32 on that show, and he looked nothing like that. That's why I didn't realize that until years later. And Pretty Little Liars, I know Janelle Parrish, she was 30 on that show, and she looks amazing for that age. I thought she was literally a teenager.
Andrea Zuckerman was 30, and she actually when she was pregnant on the show, she was pregnant with one of her children. So they had to
Oh
write
wow.
it having a pregnancy, and it fit Andrea because she's like this goody two shoes, and oh, she's getting pregnant out of wedlock. You know, that was a huge storyline. It was because she was like, I think she was like 30, and Luke Perry was like 29 or something like that. Tori Spelling and Brian Austin Green were the youngest, and they were like mid to early 20s. So, and
Okay.
two, when you get younger people, you get younger people. The fame went to most of that cast's head, and they just, some of them blew their money, some of them, you know, like Shannon Doherty, she just kind of, her and Tori Spelling, not just Shannon, her and Tori were kind of hellions, and you don't get that from actors that are a little bit more older and mature. You might, but chances are you won't. So that's more probably why they used older actors. I'm guessing.
Yeah, but then I know like, and by the way, I've definitely isn't I've heard Shannon Doherty was kind of difficult in
Mm,
general with like Charmed and
yeah.
other stuff. The Heathers too. I
Oh,
think she was in that.
love that movie.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I think about it too, like Hollywood, Holly weird in
Mm,
general. Like I don't know. There's definitely people behind the scenes that are a little creepy.
and it's like you never know until you stepped into it. Did anybody, I mean, there were clues dropped here and there how Harvey Weinstein was a predator, but
Oh,
nobody really talked about it really. I mean, Seth MacFarlane made a joke at the Oscars and everyone laughed, but the general public had no idea that this was real.
yeah.
Like until you get into that industry, you have no idea what it's like, or until you have whistleblowers or people coming forward. Yeah, I'd never want to move there. I'm like terrified of moving there.
Yeah, I think I can maybe I might not have to move there. Maybe New York would be the worst, but I do you know about Dan Schneider from Nickelodeon?
No.
So he created shows like The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, all that. I think Keenan and Kel and stuff like he was like a producer on a ton of the kid shows. And I think he didn't stop working until like 2018
Mm-hmm.
or so. There's a lot on him and he's rarely talked about. Like they finally let him go in 2018. So, and I don't want to shame anyone on like certain things about them or certain sexual
Mm-hmm.
things they may be into, but this is with minors and it's wrong. It was rumored, but like a lot of people were starting to come forward about it that he was inappropriate with the girls and how he not just the way like he touched them, but like he had like an extreme foot fetish and like casting calls. Like I said, I don't want to shame anyone, yeah, on what they're sexually into or anything, but like I said with minors though, and like he definitely was predatory towards these minors, be like, you're not gonna be in my show unless you show me a little foot, you know? I know, I wasn't trying to make you laugh.
I'm like shocked. And you know what's funny? I had an audition recently, and it was for like, okay, it was for like $500. And my
Okay.
manager sent it to me, and he's like, and it was like last week. He goes, "Oh, they want to see pictures of you, and they want you to do this audition month." And so I was like, "All right, I'll do it." And then he's like, "They want like pictures of you dressed up, and they want front and back." And I'm like, "Wait, hold on. This role is for." It was like for a company's HR videos, and it was a Zoom type call. So here up, I go, "Why are they asking for all this stuff?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "Well, you know what? You're right. It's only for $500. They're asking for all these body shots, nothing like bikini or anything, but they wanted me to stand back and turn around and take a full body picture." I'm like, "This is feeling gross." And he's like, "You know what? You're right. If they ask for anything, I'm gonna say no." So I ended up
Oh,
not.
that's good.
I ended up not getting cast for it, but ugh, felt creepy. It felt so, my antenna went way off. I just was like grossed out. Yeah, you got to be vigilant. You got to, if you feel uncomfortable nowadays, talk to your people. Um, Nothing wrong with it. I felt totally comfortable telling my manager, listen, I'm feeling uncomfortable. I feel like they're sexualizing me because I'm trans. They want me to do all these poses and turns, and oh, no, I don't want to do that. So,
Well, I'm happy your manager was actually had your back. I know some will be like, no, you should go. Like you're
no,
because people they crave like so many people crave being famous and being
mm,
like the next it person or whatever. But then yeah, you end up completely selling your soul and any of your morals. And it's
yeah,
I just to me it's not worth it. I'd rather just get it another way if I'm gonna get it, or if I don't,
yeah,
then I don't. But at least I didn't have to like do like a
mm-hmm.
freaking split without pants and like you just see everything. Like I just like you're not gonna get like
Yeah,
you're not gonna get naked jumping jacks from me. I'm
no,
sorry.
not no. For 500, and I had
Maybe a
auditioned
thousand. No.
for something that was like six figures if I got the contract, and he, I didn't do all that, so it was like I told him, I'm like, yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah. But
Anyways,
yeah, so with I'm trying to think, yeah, with the actors, like did you have any other thoughts? Oh, actually, I just remembered too that I wanted to discuss because I thought about you've seen It, right? The
yeah,
newer ones.
yeah,
So, yeah, so with it, well, actually, the old one did it too, where they used child actors and adult actors. But obviously it is written by Stephen King. It's a
yeah.
horror movie. It's a horror book novel. So what are your thoughts, I guess, related to that? Because they obviously had to use, like, it would have been weird using adults for the kids or even teenagers. Like, they kind of had to get an appropriate age for
Mhm.
that. I think about Stranger Things too, where they found some really good child actors, but it's
Right,
also like a more serious or scary theme. So what are your
right.
thoughts on that?
I'm okay with that because, like, I feel like kids can fake horror, kids can fake drama. Sexual stuff, I don't want to see kids in. I can't.
True.
Ugh, gross. Like,
Yeah.
my nephew, he's 17 and he walks around shirtless, and I'm just like, oh God, you're 10 still. Like, why are you 17 and you have chest hair? And it's like, I, I look at kids and I'm like, how can a grown adult with a job and a car be sexually attracted to a child? So I think that's, and also with the Jeffrey Epstein thing and sex trafficking, and um, I think they just want to be very careful where they get children actors in. You know, getting children actors to play children in a Stephen King movie where the most sex they do is kiss, one couple kisses.
Yeah.
There's an illusion that two characters are gay, but it's not until they're older that we hear about that and we like speculate about it. But when they're kids, we don't. It's hinted at, but it's not totally hinted at. You know what I mean? I don't know
Yeah.
if that up or not.
No, yeah. No, I
Rich,
get that.
what's the other one?
I
Was Richie and Eddie? I think Richie. I don't remember. Two of
I
them
think,
were. That's all I know.
yeah. No, I think you're right with that. Um, what was I gonna? Have you seen? Because I just thought of a show where they weren't. It was a reality show, so they weren't acting, but they were acting in a way.
Mm,
I mean, you know how those go.
yeah.
So where they're like real, but they're not real in a way because they're not scripted necessarily. But um, did you know with because have you seen Dance Moms? Do you know what
I,
it's about?
I'm not like trying to shame her. I don't like Abby Lee Miller. I think that
Yeah.
she is just. I don't respect people that yell at people all the time. And
Yeah.
he's just so, ugh. Like, shut up. Stop yelling all the time. Do you remember the Meryl Streep, Julia Roberts movie, August Osage County? Have you seen it?
No.
There's
I thought you were
this,
gonna say Devil Wears Prada.
no, where, because Meryl Streep's character is like off the wall. She's a pill popper, and Julia Roberts goes to her, "Why are you yelling at us all the time?" And I'm like, I know, like people that like Bernie Sanders is like that, constantly yelling. I'm like, Grandpa, stop, turn down your battery, like stop yelling at us. I have a thing with people that constantly yell.
Well, there's a lot of, but I've been seeing some behind the scenes stuff. I was watching the show kinda just for like I would see the drama fights all the time on YouTube, so I was like, I'll check it out, I guess, just to see what this is about. And there is a lot of like sneaky producer stuff where Abby, I wouldn't
Um,
say she's necessarily like the worst person, but she definitely isn't. I wouldn't say she's a good person or like a great person,
mm,
but I think there is more to why certain people acted the way they did. But I mentioned that show because one thing I had found out that I didn't even really think about, and you wouldn't think about right on the fly either, because we're not predators, but they're so obviously she has the dancers who dance for the young girls, and so and they started really young. I think like, I mean, they started for her before the show when they were like 2, 3 years old. But I think when that show started, they were like 7, 8, 9, maybe, and maybe up
yeah.
to 10. They were sexualized a lot by older men. There was the most viewers for that show were older men in
Ugh,
between 30 and 50. Yeah,
gosh, that's disgusting.
it is. Yeah.
I just don't know what this world is coming to.
I just thought that I really didn't even think of it because I'm thinking like, oh, other girls are watching the show, or even like
Right,
moms and stuff, like
right.
a female audience. So when I saw it was like older men like cheering them on, and there was like some little weird stories I'd read about too, how they like stalked some of the girls, and it's
Ugh,
just yeah, it's just crazy.
cisgender white men, I tell you, disgusting.
What are we gonna do with those cisgender white men?
Ugh, they get away with so much. Anyway,
But I think it's time for another, we're actually like right on time for another commercial break. So we will get into one more topic after this and maybe some
cool.
extra if we have time. So we will be right back. And we are back. So the other topic that we're going to get into is transgender individuals in the media, how they're portrayed. I'm going to bring it right to Emmy to kind of introduce this topic in, and we can get into that.
It's funny you mentioned this topic because I feel like the way that children or children or teens are portrayed by older people, cisgender people are portraying trans people. And there
Yeah.
are the like you could split it. Like if you had watched The Danish Girl and you saw Eddie Redmayne play the boy version of the character, you would have been fine. And then we could have brought in a trans woman to play the trans character. But instead, he portrayed both the boy version and the trans version and won an Oscar. Hilary Swank
I
portrayed
was
a
I was
trans
just thinking.
the whole time. There were trans men that were actors. So why is I think that that's the precedent that Scarlett Johansson and Halle Berry have said. Trans people were portrayed by cisgender people before, so why can't I do it now? Because it's not acceptable now. It was acceptable then because no trans men were coming out. They were scared of being beat up and worse, killed. So we're in a time where there are trans actors, there are trans actresses. Give them roles, give us roles. The thing about Kitty, Brandon said, I want a black trans girl to play the black trans character. No questions. I am not getting a cisgender person in that role. I want the white gay teen to be played by a white gay teen, period. And he is just really adamant about those things, and I appreciate that. But then you see trans people, and I think have you seen Disclosure on Netflix?
It sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen it.
So it's a documentary about, sorry, the sun is like really right on my face.
It's okay. It's heaven.
Sorry. It's a documentary about trans characters in the media, in entertainment. And when I tell you my eyes were open wide, yeah, Liar Liar, or not Liar Liar, Ace Ventura Pet Detective. The whole movie was centered on the fact that Finkel is Einhorn, and he kissed Einhorn. And so he did this plunger thing, and he scraped his tongue, and he took a shower, and he lit his clothes on fire because he kissed a trans woman. Just because he kissed a trans woman and she grabbed his butt. And then at the end, oh, either that's a penis or the biggest hemorrhoid I've ever seen. And everybody started puking over the trans character. And it's like, that's not funny now. That's offensive. Yeah. And I didn't realize, like, I was trans. Candace Kane, do you know who that is? She's an actress.
I would say sounds familiar, yeah.
She was on this show called Dirty Sexy Money. And
okay, yep.
She's got like a normal voice. Her voice is pretty feminine. When she was on the show, the producers lowered her voice 3 octaves in editing. So she's beautiful, feminine, and she's talking like this. And you're just like, why are you doing that? And then she was on another show where she was killed on the show. And oh my God, this is so like upsetting. The actor literally went, is this a boy or a girl? Lifted up her skirt, like while she was dead, lifted up her skirt a little and goes, well, I think we can confirm it's a boy. And I'm like, oh my God. And she said, I was laying on the ground pretending to be dead, and I really wanted to be dead. I couldn't believe they said that. And I guess they didn't tell her about the line. And we need better portrayals of trans people, period, point blank. And are we sex workers? Yes, some of us are. Are we able to love, able to feel, able to have our families accept us? Yes. We have so many stories in between those that are not being told. And that's why I created this book. This book is, she gets into a little bit of sex work, but it's more manipulation than it is because she's desperate for work. And it's just like, I don't know. I think that we need more portrayals of every single trans character on the planet. I think we definitely need more trans male characters because there are trans male actors. We're not using them enough. So
I agree, and I feel like like you said, the whole thing with Scarlett Johansson, we're evolving as a society. We're slowly, changing our ways. And yeah, with past shows, they definitely made some offensive jokes. It's kind of similar to how offensive jokes towards African Americans were in past TV shows or past productions. Are you a fan of America's Next Top Model or like watched really any of that?
I watched one where Tyra yelled at Tiffany.
Yeah.
And that was funny. We were all rooting
for you. we were all rooting for you. How dare you?
And then the girl that just went, and she fell backwards. That was hilarious.
She had some medical condition, I guess. I know. Don't you feel like a shithead? No. No, I mentioned that show. Let's just let's go let's let's gloss over her, no pun intended. But I mentioned that show because I unfortunately did watch a lot of seasons. It was one of those like certain reality shows I'd play in the background.
Yeah,
I did a lot of like Flavor Love and Rock of Love and stuff in the background, and I
yeah.
just like know those are like my Bible now. But
Mm-hmm.
America's Next Top Model, I had the cycles going in the background, and cycle 11 came on. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember what year that was released.
Yeah,
Um, I don't remember because there's so many cycles. There's like over 20 something, whatever. But it was the first time. I don't know if they ever had a trans model again in future seasons, but season 11 they had Isis,
yep,
who was a trans model
yeah.
in that competition. And Emmy, the other, not all of the girls, but a lot of them were very offensive and very like the jokes they were saying or the comments, not even jokes because they were just being downright mean and bitchy. They were just because there was one shoot I remember they were like in a pool or something or in water and of ISIS I think was still pre-op.
Yeah.
So there was like, she was uncomfortable in that situation or just wanted to like have it, like she just felt uncomfortable in general.
Mm.
And just like there's this one, I don't even remember her name because she's just irrelevant. Actually, her name might have been Kyle. I don't remember. I don't hate to call you out, but you were a bitch.
That is offensive to a trans person. Girl, get your life together. You got a
She
boy, honey.
well she was one of the prettiest, this girl that was being offensive. She was one of the prettiest girls on the outside, but obviously like there was
Mm,
definitely some
that's how they
insecurities
are.
and shit on the
Mhm.
inside. But she stands out to me out of the other girls because she would say flat out comments in the confessionals and stuff of like, can the man just go home? Like just send the man home. Yeah. And she actually, I think she went home before ISIS, so that was fucking gold. Because you're like, yeah, bye bitch. But
I
but
found
just very
on Instagram and we've commented back and forth. She's such a strong person. And she was also in
wait, who is?
ISIS. She's an actress now.
Oh, you talked to her.
Yeah. She was in
Oh.
When They See Us. She was a trans character in that because one of the guys had a transgender sister. So she was in that mini series. She was amazing. She was in Shameless. Um,
Oh, I
she's
didn't know that.
doing stuff. Yeah, I love that girl. She's so funny. The posts she has. She makes her own dresses. Like she's amazing. She's so amazing. Love her. Hi,
Yeah,
Isis.
I know if she's watching this, hello.
Yeah,
She seemed really cool. I mean, obviously, I mean, those shows are so edited and stuff, and you never know everything that's happening behind the scenes. They
right,
were making comments and that's the thing. I don't know if production was pushing these girls to be assholes or if
right.
they're just assholes, and maybe they've grown from that, but it
Yeah.
just was so unnecessary. And looking back, which there's other seasons and other things that are controversial that Tyra and her team have done on that show, like the whole they did like a swapped race thing. Oh my
Oh,
God, like yeah, talk about that was like a mess. But yeah, like with that and how they treated trans model and everything was just really distasteful. But I'm happy that now we look back at that and go, that was wrong.
yeah, I am too. But at the time, it was acceptable.
Yep, it was, unfortunately.
Wow, it's so crazy. I haven't watched her cycle. I should look it up to see if.
You should, because you're gonna be speechless probably at least the first half of it, because it was just like I felt like they just kept going at her with certain things, and she was not. I don't think she was rude to them at all.
Well, I really would like somebody, and I may have mentioned this before. If somebody, one of you cisgender hetero people, if you could like take a Barbie and show me where on the Barbie that transgender people hurt you, I would be more than willing to have that discussion because I don't know where we hurt them, where we take away from their lives. I want to see, like, if somebody can, like, have a Barbie or a teddy bear or something, I just want to know. Because I don't get it. Like, I don't understand how in, what is it, Idaho or wherever, allowing us to change our gender on our birth certificates is hurting the next person. How is that hurting someone? I don't understand.
I don't get it.
What I'm confused.
I know with that. I know. I wish we could get that help. There's a lot of
Somebody,
that makes me think of other topics too. That it's like
yeah.
why are we still I mean like that for transgender. Why why people just can't accept gay marriage, why people can't accept that all races should be equal. Like, I just don't get why we're still having all these arguments. Like, there's so many, like, we could definitely be on Mars at this point. Like, if we didn't have all these other arguments for hundreds and hundreds of years. I think I said that in my first episode of this season, that it's like I talked about social media wars and how we just argue like about the dumbest same shit over and over again, and we never get anywhere.
Like, this weekend, the controversy. The people that said in June, rioters are savage, they're destroying their own neighborhoods, they're crazy, they should all be locked up, all lives matter. And then suddenly, when a little boy gets killed, within 24 hours, his murderer gets arrested and charged. Well, where are the protests? Didn't you say the protests were bad? Like, I'm so confused. Like, what? Help. My brain hurts. Like,
Yeah, I didn't know we were gonna get into this topic, but we can a little bit. No, it's okay. I mean, it's current. Well, this is gonna air next week, but it's still gonna be. I personally, let me be frank with you. I personally don't like how they are comparing George Floyd to that current situation. Like, it's not the same thing, in my opinion. I know people might disagree with that listen to that, but it's just I don't like those posts because it's really just because I know what they're trying to the reason that I believe that they're talking about this, they're not backing up this 5-year-old little boy. They're not. I don't think I don't think it's that. I think they're trying to diminish George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's more I know. I just feel like there's an underlying race thing with that, and that it's not because the facts are and the information, everything that's happened with both murderers, it's completely different. And then if we're gonna really get into that, Breonna Taylor, like, what's going on,
Can you people just let me just talk to these people? Can you people just say you don't care about Black people and just move on? Stop bringing up this 5-year-old because his family's grieving. Ugh.
I think, at the end of the day, they're both. I mean,
They're
it's just
terrible.
awful. They're both, really. Well, all three. If we're gonna mention Breonna too, like, it's just murder is awful.
What about Ahmaud Aubrey, who was jogging and got murdered? Yes. Tell me there's a backstory. The thing that really irks me is this person was like, well, George Floyd was a criminal. Yeah, 7 years ago he was. Well, he had a counterfeit 20. Yeah, and if you research, and I had to call someone out. I said, if you research the store owner, what happened was, and I'll give you a little background real quick. The store owner wasn't there. A teenager was at the store. George came up with a counterfeit 20. The teen was like, I don't know what to do. I've never had this happen before. And George, the store owner, said George was a sweetheart, came in all the time. He knows all of his customers. The teen called the cops. The store owner said, you didn't have to call the cops. Then the teen said, they're murdering this guy. They said, what guy? The guy that had the counterfeit 20. George, I'm coming right down. This was a non-violent situation. George wasn't fighting. Every single video in the area shows George was not resisting. He was murdered by 4 men, and one of them was in Costco, just strolling along. Like, Guys, stop. The little boy was playing in the yard. There's rumors that his dad and the other guy were doing something with drugs, and then the other guy shot and killed him. Whatever. I don't know the backstory.
See, I heard a different story, but
See?
I didn't hear it having to do with race necessarily.
No,
It was
either,
more
yeah, I don't. I think the murder of George Floyd was personal because those two men know each other. Derek knew George because they worked together at a club years ago. And the club owner was like, Derek was a hothead. He would pepper spray people that really didn't need to be pepper sprayed. Like, Derek had a bad reputation. That man had 18 offenses against him in 19 years. Nobody did anything about it. They let him get away with it. Why? Because now we're here.
yeah.
And this woman today said, I don't know why. I'm not even going to mention her name because she's just a disgusting human being. Apparently, George Floyd's family is going to be going to the Democratic convention. She said, why is there free meth there? Yes, lady. All black people, we do meth. That's how we get such silky skin, you dickhead. Oh, I hate people. Hate people.
I know. I was gonna say it's the internet and just people aren't really thinking before speaking. Oh, they deleted it?
He deleted it, but I captured it. I sent a tweet to her and I said, what did you mean by this? I'm just asking. She didn't respond, which is weird.
I mentioned that in the last episode too, how what we put on the internet, like someone just captures it immediately. Like even if you delete it, it's people are really
yes. If you're not famous, no. If you're not famous, they're not. If you haven't gone viral, they're never gonna do that. But if you're famous and you've gone viral at least once, you're under the microscope now.
But the story, because we are unfortunately running out of time really soon, but the story that I heard, oh my God, I forgot the boy's name. Do you remember?
Cannon.
What was it?
Cannon, like a cannon. That's not a cannon.
Oh, Cannon. Okay. Sorry. I forgot. I can't.
Oh, I did that. Sorry.
I heard that the story that I heard was that Cannon was being a kid and he was going onto this man's yard and he wouldn't get off of his yard, and the man that murdered him was like, get off my lawn, and Cannon was, like I said, being a kid and like no not like listening, and then he shot Cannon. That's the story that I heard.
Well, the reason why I don't believe that is because the shooter was 25. He wasn't 105. So it's like, get off my lawn, you little whippersnapper. Like, I don't think that. I don't know if I believe.
I don't know. I'm a very old 28. I feel like it's funny. There's kids that are next door neighbors, and they do come close to the yard, and I'm like, like don't put the bikes on the lawn.
I've heard that the dad. Well, first of all, I'm not trying to like pick on people, but if you name your child Cannon, you're probably not right in the head. But I heard that they were both dabbling into drugs, and the dad wasn't budging, and so the guy killed his son as payback or whatever. I don't know.
Oh,
the truth, but
I mean that
don't want to know.
I forgot where it took place. That actually kind of does sound believable. Before we finish up and stuff, my aunt, one of my aunts is from Louisiana, and she there was a lot of like drug related activity down there in the area that she lived in, and people were just killing family members left and right because of a drug deal gone wrong. And like I could definitely believe, unfortunately, that's a huge issue in this country and in certain states especially.
Someone doesn't want to give you their money or their drugs or whatever, you're gonna kill their 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Disgusting as it may be, that's how people think. But
I guess I definitely want to finish that on there's not because I think what tends to happen because of experiences that people have with certain individuals that may be of a different skin color, I feel like there are good and bad
Yeah.
people in all different colors, that it's not, well, black people are bad or white people are bad. Um, it really is on the individual. That's definitely what I wanted to get out there. That it,
Also, professions as well. Not all cops are bad. Not all doctors are bad.
yeah,
Go down the line.
but yeah. So we did kind of get off topic on that last one, but it's okay. We did a little bit. We'll have more to talk about in the future, probably. But Emmy, I want to thank you so much for being on yet another episode. I'll have to guest star on your
Yes.
podcast, which is the Spilled Tea. You guys should check that out too. That's an amazing podcast.
Yeah.
And I want to thank today's sponsor. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening and watching now. If you guys are watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or other streaming services or whatever, I just want to thank you guys for supporting me. I do have a Patreon in the description of episodes, and I have other links to merch store and all that cool stuff and the website and everything. I'm going to put some links to for Emmys, whether they're socials or for the book or anything. Are there any, Emmy, are there any links or, yeah, ways for people to connect with you that you want to share?
I'm pretty straightforward across the board. MS Emmy Morgan, Miss Emmy Morgan, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And then for my podcast, it's the Spilled Tea PC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So I'm pretty simple.
Awesome. I almost forgot. There's one more person that I want to thank, and that is the music that's for this new season. It's from Zapphire, the intro and the outro for season 2. It's my friend Zach that I went to school with, and it's music that hasn't been released yet. It's really cool music. You guys will have to check it out. You guys probably already heard the intro if you're listening to this, and definitely listen to the outro quick after we're done talking. Just he works so hard. He has a couple singles out. Search Zapphire. That is Zappphire. Like sapphire, but Zapphire. So I guess sapphire with a Z. I could have just said that. So much.
Okay. I know it's
fucking easier.
Sapphire. That's so funny.
Yeah, it's so much fucking easier. I'm sorry. So, all right, guys. I hope you guys have a super special, awesome day, and bye.